Reality Receipts podcast starring me, Storytime with Rikkii.
And me, Reality Ashley. I was just telling Rikkii I miss her. I haven't seen her for a few days because she was on a little vacation. So
I
how was it? Was it hot there?
It was actually okay. So I went to Phoenix to see my best friend from the 6th grade. It was her birthday on 4/4. So we just went out there and had like a little staycation. It was actually supposed to be in the 90s, but it was in the 70s. But 70 there felt much hotter than 70 here. So we had a really great weekend. We just had a pool day. That's like my favorite thing to do in the entire world is like sit at a pool or sit at a beach and like just order food and drinks and just sit there all day till the sun goes down and then, you know, be...
And Rikkii sent...
Am I tan?
You are. Although I guess you're in the heat all year round, but it does get a little chilly in LA in the winter, right? Like not super chilly, but Phoenix... Oh, we didn't tell people where you went, but you went to Phoenix, right? Yeah. And you sent me a picture of your friend and you and her daughter, but I thought you guys were all the same age because you guys look so young, but her daughter's only 19 apparently. So
oh my god, and it was so funny that you said that, Ashley, is because all weekend she was getting an array of ages. Like some people thought she was 16, some people thought she was 25. It was so crazy because it's like obviously I've known her since she was a little baby. So we went out to dinner on Friday night, and then like it was in like this really fancy hotel. So there was a bar area, and you know the bar was open. So she's like 19. She's never been to a bar. There was no security. Don't take me to jail for saying that.
I remember those days.
We just walked, it was a hotel bar, so in the lobby. So we're just like standing in the bar, and she's like, "Oh my god, this is so cool. This is what adults do." And it was so funny to like see her get hit on. You know what I mean? Like all these guys were like hitting on her and like in front of her mom, and
oh my god,
her mom's like, "Oh my god, I've never seen this before," and like she's just like racking up numbers, and then the guys are like, "How old are you?" She's like, "I'm 19," and they're like, "What the hell? Like, what are you doing here?" So
we
it
thought
was so
you were
funny.
grown.
I think it was because she was with us, and we just looked like a group of friends that people just assumed she was much older than she was, or assumed we were much younger. Like actually somebody asked me if I was in college, because when she said she was in college,
like
she said she was in college, and they were like, "Are you in college too?" I was like,
"Yes, I am."
yes, I am actually.
Love it. Yeah, when you send the picture, I totally didn't even like second guess it. I was like, "Oh, those are your two friends," and then you were like, "No, that's her mom." I was like, "Oh, okay." Now that I really look closely, I can kind of see it. But yes, you all look. You all look the same age, so
that's good.
She probably hates that now that I'm thinking about that, because
no, I think she enjoyed it. I think she enjoyed being older for the weekend. And again, I think it was because she was with us. I think if she was with her group of friends, she would totally look 19. But they're like, there's no way that this young hot girl is like hanging out with these two old ladies. So like,
and when you're like younger, also when you're that young, like 19, 18, you like kind of being thought of as older. It's more exciting than at our age, where you're like, no, I don't want to be thought of as older. But when you're like 19, it's still kind of cool to be like, oh, I can get into these places.
Yeah, so it was definitely those vibes. So we had so much fun. It was my first time in Phoenix, even though it's like,
oh really,
so close to LA. We had, we just ate and went to the pool, and it was like, that's like my perfect day. So it was great.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah. How was your weekend?
It was pretty chill, just the usual kid stuff. I bought a couch, so that was exciting.
I saw it on your Instagram story. Beautiful.
Yeah,
like the layout and everything was so beautiful.
It's so comfortable. We because it's a really big living room. We came from this tiny little house that we've had for a long time, and we just finally upgraded to a bit bigger. And all of our stuff, of course, looks so silly in it. So we're like, okay, we need a big couch. But a big couch is so expensive. So we had given up on the dream of a very massive couch. But then there's this store in Canada called Hudson's Bay. It's like this big, kind of like I guess you could call like a Macy's type, like department store. Okay. So it's closing. So they had closing sale. So I got a super good deal on it. So that was exciting. But I feel bad because I'm not a good I'm not an influencer at all. That's just embarrassing to say. That's just not my thing. But, you know, I wanted to post pictures of my couch, but then people are like, where do I get that couch? And I'm like, well, I'm in Canada and the store's closed. And so I felt bad because I could not influence the couch at all. And speaking of failed influencing, I I don't ask for a lot of free stuff, even though, you know, we get a lot of views on our pages, like 30 million sometimes in a month. And so sometimes people ask you to post stuff or send you free stuff, but I don't really ask for much. I just enjoy doing this. And I saw that they filmed $1,000,000 Secret like an hour from my house, which I thought was so cool. We don't get a lot of cool stuff here in Canada. So I was like, you know, I would never, it's $13,000 a night to rent this place. It's a massive chateau. So I would never ask someone, can I come stay there for free? They don't, I mean, they've been on Netflix. They don't really need me for that. But I was like, maybe I could just.
Well, I doubt Netflix gets 30 million views, but I'm just saying in a month. I don't know how many views they get, but 30 million a month is a flex. Okay, just
I mean, we do. I was gonna say we help them out a lot, but I guess it's like a symbiotic thing. They help us, we help them, but. I thought it would be cool just because it's an hour from my house. I could just pop over there, take a little video, show everybody, and I can include the link because I'm sure people maybe don't know you could actually rent it if you wanted to. And because it's not listed, they have a different name for it on the show. They're calling it like the Stag or something. And like I said, I don't get a lot of opportunities to promote Canadian things because we talk about Netflix, which is not, it's all American stuff. So I thought it would be cool to just go there and take a quick video. And I looked and they're not fully booked or anything. You know, it's like half of the month is booked. So they got lots of space. So I emailed them just to see if I could just pop by for a few videos. And they replied saying, yeah, we have tons of availability. Like we're wide open, but we charge $800 an hour for photos. So I was like, so you want me to pay you $800 to promote your place?
Yeah.
So I was I'm good.
No thanks.
I'm like, I get it because I think being on the show, they thought, oh, we'll get all these bookings and people want to come here and see it, make it like it's an attraction now, right? So I totally get that. And to be fair, I didn't really explain my views, my metrics when I reached out to them.
Oh, you should have. That would have probably changed things for them. Like, you know, and explain that, you know, you would promote it for them for sure.
Yeah, just like, because everyone can see it on the show and might be like, oh, that's a cool place, but you don't really put two and two together. So then when you see another, like a TikTok or a reel being like, oh, that's the place from $1,000,000 Secret, and here I just click on this link and I could book it if I want. I mean, I don't know who has $13K a night in this economy, but there's probably people out there. So
somebody's got it, or at least $800 to go take some pictures.
Yes. So like I said, I don't ask for much. That's it. I gave up. I tried one time. I'm not paying $800.
Next time you have to include your metrics. That's gonna change things.
Yes, they didn't ask. So, but I get it. Like if people reach out, like, can I stay there for free? I totally understand people getting frustrated about that because they're a business. You got to make your money. But I mean, stopping by for like half an hour, I don't think that would have cost them anything.
Literally. And it would have been
so I tried.
Promo. Yeah.
Yeah. And I wanted to show you guys. But then again, I mean, I guess you see it all on the show. There's not much like behind the scenes I could have showed you. But it's a beautiful area, Kelowna. So if you're ever in Canada, come check it out. But I'll give them a little free plug anyways, but
I'm like, don't give them a free plug.
So the link is in our bio. No, I'm just kidding. I'm sure if anyone wants to stay there that bad, they could find it on their own. They don't need me, so. I tried.
That was nice. You tried. Next time, send your pictures. Next time,
you know, I thought I thought they would like. There's not a lot of Canadian people doing this. I've found a couple friends online, but every friend I make is from the States, so. Yeah, I thought they would think it was cool, but they probably deal with a lot of people asking for free stuff, so I understand. But since you were away, you missed out on a little bit of headlines, or maybe you didn't, maybe you know. Did you hear about there's a lot going on with season 1 Love is Blind right now. So I'll start with the bad news.
Okay.
Do you remember Mark that was 24 and Jessica was 34
I remember
from
Mark.
season 1?
I remember Mark.
Okay. Yes. So remember in the after the altar, we kind of thought he was a bit shady because he like had a thing with LC and then he cheated on her and there was a lot of drama there. And
Right.
because on the show, we thought he was like the good guy and Jessica kind of got the bad edit. And then we
Right.
started thinking on the after the altar, like he's not the best guy. So lots of drama going on in his personal life. So he got married during COVID, I think maybe like 2020, 2021. Had
Okay.
2 kids. He's been all settled down since then. Then on St. Patrick's Day, his wife made a little post like, you're ditching your family to go drinking with your friends. And people were like, that's interesting. And then
Okay.
all of a sudden, he made a post on Instagram saying, like, we're split up, we're done.
Okay, I seen
And
that. I seen that.
yes,
So I seen that, and then she commented something, right? Like, "This is news to me," or something like that,
yes.
right? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
finish
he
up.
said the post was kind of like, thanks for respecting our privacy. We've decided this together. And her
Mm,
comments were like, this, we've never had a conversation about this. This is news to me. So allegedly on Reddit, he was caught sort of like with other women out drinking. And so he knew he was getting busted cheating. And so he
mm,
tried to get ahead of it, saying like, we're separated. We
mm.
agreed on this. So she did not agree on it. She did not know
Oh,
they were separated. So yeah. So he's only,
okay.
I think he's 29 or 30. I mean, nowadays that's young to be married with two
Right.
kids, but is it, it's not that young. He's not
It's not
20,
that
you know?
young. It's also like you got married and had 2 kids. You can't just decide all of a sudden that you don't want, like, that's already your life. So you don't
Yeah.
get to decide now, oh, well, oh, I got married too young. I don't want this anymore. And if it isn't what you want anymore, then you be an adult about it and you have a conversation with your wife and you separate. You don't cheat
Yeah.
and then separate
No.
because you're forced to announce your separation and make it seem like it's mutual. So that
Yeah.
headline, I think, hit before I went out of town because I
Yes,
was
that was
privy
last
to
week.
that. A lot of people were like sending it to me, and I honestly didn't think people cared about Mark. So I was
And then,
quite surprised the like response it got because I got so many
yeah, it was on
DMs
like
like,
People.
yeah, I seen that. Like Us Weekly, like E News, like all of the big publications picked it up. So I was like, okay, maybe people care. And then I had
Yeah.
like 50 DMs, no lie. Like, can you find out what's going on with Mark and his wife? Can you find out the tea? Were there really girls? Were there really? I actually reached out to his wife, but she didn't respond to me.
Oh.
So, like, you
Oh,
want to
that's too
spill
bad.
some secret? Was there some girls? Was that for real? Like, because
Yeah,
I know
maybe
some
she
of her
wants.
comments got deleted or something, or she removed them or something like
Yeah,
that, right?
there was a few comments of like, they seemed to be random girls. She replied to them being like, I don't know like who you are, but thank you for saying this. So I don't know if they were actually random people or if she was just kind of playing it that way. But yeah, there was people commenting just basically the same. Like, you can't just abandon your kids and be out with these girls. No, like, no woman has come forward saying he was cheating with me or anything like that.
Mm.
So I don't know if there's any proof, but given the fact that he posted this separation without, there didn't seem to be a reason if you're not out there cheating without talking to her. If it was a legit separation, then you'd think they would release it
Can
together.
you imagine like finding out that that's how you and your husband are separating is like
No.
his Instagram post and you're like, what? Who?
Yeah.
There was another celebrity couple that happened to, where
Oh,
um
the Bachelor one, right?
them, and then also wasn't that the case with the girl from Game of Thrones, the redhead that's married to Jonas brother?
Oh, yes, Joe Jonas and Sophie
Didn't he
Turner.
say that that's how he found out that they were separating was
Yeah,
her
I feel like we never
Instagram
got
statement?
we never got the full tea on that. Like, apparently he saw something on a Ring camera that made him just like pull the plug immediately, but they never said what he saw, like if it was cheating or a conversation. So we didn't really get the full story on that. But
Yeah,
yeah,
I
it is.
remember that one of them were like, "Oh, that's how I found out about the separation was it was on
It,
like the Instagram statement." I'm like,
Yeah,
"Oh,
it's very
wow."
odd when you take to social media before discussing it with your partner. It's very strange. It definitely gives the vibe of like, we're trying to get ahead of something. He knows someone might
Right.
come forward. So if he
Mhm.
has this post on Instagram, it's like a receipt of like, well, we weren't
Right.
together. So
Right.
yeah, it's drama.
Right.
It's sad because they have I think they have 2 boys, one after the other. So like very
Right.
little close in age. So yeah, you can't like you can still be married and go out and have fun with your friends. Like
Right,
I don't know
right,
what
right, right,
their
right.
dynamic is, and there's no excuse for anything, but I don't know if it's like he wasn't allowed to go out with his friends or he didn't want to, and then all of a sudden he's going out, and now like I just don't know where the cheating has to be like thrown in with that, right? Like you can
Right.
still go with your friends and have a good time. You don't have to get divorced or cheat. Like it's strange that
It
he's
seems
it
that,
seems like
yeah, he wanted the cheating. It seems like he
yes.
wanted
And
to
like
hang out with other girls.
yeah, I think he can't like go out without being with the girls because this, like we said, it was a pattern. Apparently, this happened with LC when he was dating her back when the show was airing, and
Mm,
when that was all airing, I wasn't doing this at that time, so I missed out on all the tea. It
yeah.
sounds like it was juicy though, because apparently there was lots of people coming forward saying he was with them while this was
Oh, I
airing, while he was
wasn't
with
doing it.
LC.
I wasn't doing it either during
No,
season
did you
one.
start in
Yeah.
season 3 too?
I started season 3.
Me too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah, we
What's
were the
so
same.
funny is I remember to the day, I remember when you followed me. I remember
Oh
the day you
really?
followed me and I was like, okay, this is another page that like kind of like does Love is Blind content. And like, I
Hmm.
was like just figuring out my Love is Blind content. I'm like, I think I do
Yeah.
Love is Blind content. I'm not sure if I do. I just keep making videos about this show and people like it. So I'm just going
Yeah.
to keep doing
It was
it.
like,
And then you
I
were
mean, it
posting
still is.
clips. And
It's
that's
it
how
was
we,
a phenomenon because I didn't even I had started with the Ultimatum. That was the first show I covered, and I loved them, and it was great content. And that was the first time I realized like there's an audience for this. And then I
mm,
kind of forgot. I think the Ultimatum was like April, and then Love Is Blind wasn't till October. So I had kind of I was doing like other shows, and Love Is Blind came out, and I didn't even watch the first drop. I was like, oh, I'll catch up later. And then the second drop came out, and it was the whole like the Cole Raven Bartiz. It was just so much material, and I was like, oh, I got to get in on this. Like, I want to talk about it. And then
right,
yeah, we all
right.
found each other, and
Right.
that was
Isn't that crazy? That's
that
crazy
season.
that that's how
The
it was that
cuties.
season. Yeah, I think I wasn't even making content on the show. I was just
Hmm.
like, I watched the show in general. So
Yeah.
I was just watching it and I was like, I did dating content at that time, but I had posted
Uh-huh.
like 3 videos. Like, I
Yeah.
just made my TikTok and they were getting like 500 views and I'm like, oh, cool.
Yeah.
And then I made
Right.
one video that was like, oh, this is who I date. Like, this is who I date from this season of Love is Blind. Like, or this is like,
Uh-huh.
because I was still trying to like tie it in and make it make sense for dating content. Like,
Uh-huh.
like I date this guy or what I thought of the guys.
Uh-huh.
And then that video got
I
like 7,000 views and I was like, oh,
yeah.
wow. Like, that's so much more than 500. So I just kept making
Right.
videos about the show. Then I started doing reactions. Then I started doing commentary. Now I'm doing tea. Actually,
Yeah.
that season was the first season that I got like my big tea story, which was like
Yeah.
the
You know
SK
what's
cheating scandal.
crazy? Yes, that was the biggest moment, but we weren't talking then. We didn't start talking
No.
until season 5 with the Uche
Mm,
stuff.
yeah.
But do you know, back in season 3, if only we had been doing this then, because when the show was airing, do you know I got a DM from someone saying, Bartiz got someone pregnant and he's having a baby. And I was like, oh
What
my
do I
goodness.
do with
And,
this?
and
What
I
do
was
I
like,
do with this?
I'm like, I'm not going to say someone's having a baby and that's a lie. Even then, I was like, I don't want to post lies. So I contacted Bartiz and I said, you know, someone reached out to me and said, you're having a baby. Like, give me what's going on. And he was like, that's false. I should have known. And so, so I never posted it. I never went forward with the story. And as we all found out in December, he certainly did have a baby. So I needed your support back then because I was like, he said no, it's not true, and
Girl,
you were
I
there.
didn't know either. That's what's so crazy how pieces just align and stuff just fall into place because at the time I probably wouldn't have known what to do with that information either. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it's so interesting how me and Ashley found each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just like we just like found each other and just started sharing tea. And then when you share some tea and then the person doesn't go run and post it, you kind of know like, okay, I can trust this person.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's kind of how me and Ashley like linked up and then we started sharing stories with each other. And then she's like, I'm only posting clips and this needs a voice behind it. So like, do you
Yes.
want to go in on this with me? Like, you know, and just here we
Yeah.
are. Now we would have been all over that Bartiz baby tea because
Yeah,
to
that
have
was
shared that
big.
DM and like
Mm-hmm.
him saying, like, we would have obviously like investigated, like, okay, how do you know she's pregnant? How do you know? So even,
Yeah.
and that's what I tell people about people, like, of course, like, I could just go, you went straight to the source and you asked Bartiz, and of course he's
Yeah.
gonna say it's not true. So I
Yeah.
always find it so funny when like you share a story like we did with Sarah and Joey, and then Sarah comes out and says it's not true, and then you get all these comments like, hey, it's not, she said it's not true, so it's not true. Like, of course they're gonna
She
come
has a
out
reason to lie. Yeah.
and say that it's not true. So
Yeah.
that's why you have to have solid proof that it is true, and like the person that the story is about is not being truthful because they have a reason to lie. You know what I mean? So even when the SK story came to me, it was my first big story. I don't know why the hell these girls came to me. And that's why I always say, they always say like God will make a lane for you. You know what I mean? And I really feel like TikTok and just like the internet in general made a lane for me. And
Wait,
you.
I remember you did you interviewed Raven's that friend that was on the screen, and now I'm remembering.
That's my
I'm
first
remembering I knew
go-round.
of you. Yeah, before
Yeah.
season 5. Yeah. See, you know what's so funny is during season 3 we were very opposed views because I don't come from me, but I was team Zenib and you were team Cole, and we had very opposing views. So our content wasn't really aligning. And it's funny because we were just talking about Love Island USA this season, and you said you weren't really feeling Leah, and I was so team Leah. So I'm excited for our future to cover things because I think we will have some opposing views and people can relate because that's what makes the show so
Everybody
controversial.
sees it their own way. You know what I mean? And I think that's the beauty of it. And it's like, obviously, like, you have the people that are going to relate to you and you have the people that are not going to relate to you, but as long as like you're respectful. But yeah, season 3, Hannah Beth Style, the one who was like SK's girlfriend, was my first interview, and she slid right in my DM. I think it was because I had a viral video or something. It was like the first time I went viral. I remember the video. I was like, actually, you guys want to know something? My first video that went viral wasn't even true. My first video that went viral was a commenter said that Nancy and Bartiz have a baby together, and literally my video was like, somebody say Nancy, and I was like, who's heard this? Like, has anybody heard? Like, and Nancy got commented and said, no, no babies come out of this.
That's so interesting because Bartiz was having a baby, so I wonder if they heard what I heard, but they just assumed Nancy and not realized he was with someone else. So there was a little truth to it because one of them had a baby. So
it was that video, and it was one when somebody looked up the marriage licenses and spilled who got married, and I made a video about it. I didn't say who it was. I didn't say who it was. I was like, the marriage licenses are out. 2 couples actually get married or something like that, and then that went viral. So I remember that's how this. If anybody wondered me and Ashley's origin story, that's how it came. I think it was season 5, and some loser pitched me a fake story, and Ashley's the one that told me. And whenever somebody asks me, have you ever been wrong, or have you ever, got it wrong, I tell people this story because it was a huge learning lesson for me, because I didn't at the time understand the weight of my platform. I didn't know that people were like coming to me as like this trusted source. I just was like, I'm just posting tea, like, I don't know. And Ashley was like, I don't know, Rikkii, like, this one's fishy, like, I think this girl's lying, like, and I was like, no, Ashley, she said she's gonna send me the receipts, like, she's gonna send me the receipts, and she was like, wait till she sends them, because I have a gut feeling she is tricking you, like, she's lying. And I was like, and I posted the story anyway, and sure enough, the girl was a complete catfish. She was like, no, I think this is the same girl that did it last year. And you know what? I think she did it this year too with Devin. I think that she keeps making whoever it is, because it could be a guy. You know what I mean? Because it's somebody using fake pictures. But you guys, when I tell you I learned my lesson, and I literally learned from it. That's why I never post anything without a receipt. And in that particular situation, I found the girl. Like, I found the real girl. Like, and I did tell my audience, hey guys, she's a catfish. She got it wrong. I got it wrong. This isn't true. I found the real girl. I told her somebody was using her pictures. I told the world it was a catfish. So I did my due diligence to like make
Yes.
up for it, but it was a huge learning lesson, and that's why we get the receipts.
We got to practice our discernment a lot in season 6, because at that point the show had blown up so massively that there were a lot of fake people coming forward with, like, they kind of learned that you could post a vague video without naming someone and you would get millions of views. So we had it kept us busy in season 6 of like discerning who is lying for clout and who is real. And it's so easy when someone has a real story. They have the receipts, like all the things you've done this season. Like, it's very clear. And so now we know what's fake. It's so after doing it for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 6 seasons, we have learned what's real and what's
I would
not.
say
That's
that for sure.
Us, so.
Yeah, that's and I would say that too. Like, now it's so easy to spot. You know what I mean? When somebody's like, how do you know to go forward with a story or whatever? I'm like, usually when someone's telling the truth, they lead with the receipt. Like, they lead with it right away. Like, they come to you knowing what you're looking for, and they lead with it. And I think now for sure, like, I can spot it much more easier. And I always credit Ashley for like checking me, and like her also having that sixth sense of being like, something doesn't feel right about this.
But without you, so most of the tea I was getting, because I didn't really like being in my videos, so I would post my tea, but it just doesn't get the same effect when it's not a real person talking to you and telling you about it. So that's when we became a good team, where it was like, I'll post the tea I have, but then I'll also want you to make a video and really tell people the details of it. So that's why I love the podcast, because now I'm like, we both get to tell the details.
Yes.
It's a great platform to really dive into things. But anyway, sorry, we went on a little tangent.
We derailed, but that's our history, our origin.
If you wanted our lore, you have it. But there's another big season 1 story, which is, you remember Amber and Barnett?
I remember that.
Matt, but yes, so they are still together. And they just had a baby. So they're the first season 1 baby, I think, right?
Okay, because we had Amber and Barnett that got married that season. Lauren and Cameron. Yes. Was anybody else? Did anyone else get married that season? Or those were
I think those are the only 2 that got married. Because Jessica and Mark obviously did not get married. And there was Kelly. I forget her guy's name. They didn't get married.
Okay.
And then
I remember them.
Sometimes I confuse season 1 and 2 because we didn't cover those, so I don't know them like
right. But that's amazing that both of the couples from that season are still together, and now Amber and Barnett had a baby
girl. So they had a baby girl. Yes, they're a little confusing to me because sometimes I make compilations of like the married couples, and I try not to post them too much because they have come out in the past and said they do not want to be associated with Love is Blind. Like, I think Amber is still, maybe they're both still a little bit bitter about the way some of the editing went, and people still to this day on her page are like, you don't want to work, or you don't have money. Remember, she had like some debt or something. They really like cling to that. And so I don't know, it's confusing though, because he like, his username is Barnett is Blind, so that's still attached to Love is Blind, and they do still do like the influencing thing and like post influencer posts, and so obviously that all comes from the show, and so I understand them hating the negativity and the fact that they're still dealing with these silly comments, but they also, I think she has like 1 million followers. I think she's done really well, because that first season, like, everybody was obsessed. So I feel bad when I don't mention them, because people are like, why do you always leave out Amber and Barnett? But then I know they don't like it, so I feel weird. So
I'm trying to be respectful.
I posted they posted their baby announcement publicly, so I'll share that. Whatever they're comfortable sharing, I will reshare. So I just, I don't want to leave them out, but there's some people who really have like a negative feeling towards it, but then they still are being
because I will say that I do think that Amber did get a negative edit. She did not so much Barnett. I feel like Barnett got a good edit, but for some reason Amber's attitude didn't sit right with me. She, I don't know, I didn't vibe with her, and I don't think it was because she was in debt, or and it's like, I like fiery, so I would have to go back and really watch to. But I remember that season, I was like, I don't know, I don't really like this girl. And for them to be a married couple, I think we all forget about them. And Lauren and Cameron got so much praise, and then it's like Amber and Barnett just went under the radar. Nobody cared about them. It seemed like Netflix focused a lot on Lauren and Cameron, who also seem like they don't really want to be associated with Netflix. I don't know, because we just don't hear about much of them in, with the show.
She used to do that. We have the Receipts podcast with Chris, the Netflix podcast. So she was associated with it for a while. And then I know they have their own podcast now, Lauren and Cameron, and they've talked about what they don't like. But I think it's mostly just like editing type things. I don't know if they have like major gripes, but I would have to check out more of their podcasts. But it's so hard because you just want to be like Love is Blind's Amber and Barnett and Lauren and Cameron. Like, that's how we know them. That's how we want to refer to them. Yeah. And it's the same thing with like Bethany and the Real Housewives. I don't know if you know about all this, but like you cannot deny that this is the only reason we know about these people. As much as if they didn't like Love is Blind or they did, that was what made them who they are in the public eye. And so
if you if you don't say Love is Blind, Amber and Barnett, people are going to be like, who?
Yeah. And without the show, like, they really wouldn't have a platform for good or bad. So yeah, I understand that they went through probably something we can't understand and it was hard for them, but it's also like they are getting some benefits from it. So you just kind of have to embrace that. And yeah, I feel bad not mentioning them. So I do mention them, but I hope they're not mad about it. So I'm always waiting for them.
It's free publicity. So
yeah. I remember, I think I made a compilation video of all the weddings a couple seasons ago, and Amber was in the comments of my TikTok, like, yelling at people because they were still bringing up silly stuff. And I do feel for them because people literally to this day are just starting season 1. They've never seen any Love is Blind. And they still go to her page like as if it happened yesterday. And for her, that was like 5 years ago.
Yeah, like, girl, get over it. Like, please get with your time.
I get it. But I'm also like, I wish they would focus on more like, as we know, as being people with public pages too, you probably get like 50 nice comments to one like nasty comment. And they do tend to focus on that nasty one. And it's like the people that are saying all these nice, kind things, you're kind of ignoring them to like focus on the mean one. Which I do think it should get called out, and I think they should do that, but it's, sometimes you just have to accept, like, even on the most positive, happy video, you are going to get some person that doesn't like it or focuses on the bad thing, so you just kind of have to accept it. Like, remember someone shared a group chat of the girls this season, and I think Taylor said, you can be, like, the juiciest peach in the world, but there's still someone that doesn't like peaches. Like, you cannot make everybody happy, so I wish they would just, like, embrace it more, but I mean, they're doing well, so they don't
nobody knows that better than us, girl. I get so many negative comments, I'd be like, oh, I didn't even read it, so whatever.
Exactly.
If I happen to catch it, it's like I'll just block the person, but I'd be like, okay,
just don't focus on it.
It helps the algorithm, so go off if you must. But speaking of Love is Blind, did you watch the Love is Blind Sweden reunion?
I did. Oh wait, there was one more headline I wanted to tell you. I forgot.
Okay, sorry.
One last one. No, it's okay. It's not. It's nothing to do with what you watch, so you might not be interested in this. But it's a Bachelor-related headline, but it does tie into something we watch. So, lately, you didn't watch The Traitors, but there's this girl Gabby Windey. She was on The Traitors. She was the Bachelorette. So she's been doing she's really blown up from The Traitors. Like, people really love her personality. She's kind of like a little snarky and funny. And so she's been doing some podcasts, and the guy that was the Bachelor when she was a contestant, his name's Clayton Echard, she's been kind of coming for him in some podcasts. And it was 3 years ago, so it was a while ago. And the things she's saying are a little mean. She's been like saying he looks like a toe and making fun of his dancing. He does like dancing videos. So she's been
not a toe.
She's been going hard on him. So he kind of clapped back yesterday and was like, calling her a bully and getting upset.
Your mama looks like a toe. I'm just wondering. That's what I was saying. Your mom looks like a toe, but okay.
He definitely could have come back because they had a tumultuous Bachelor time. Like, he ended up sleeping with all of the women, the like 3 finalists, and dumping them. So he didn't necessarily treat them very well. So for her to be a little bit, she has a right to be bitter. So I think he's being she is going a little low. He's being a bit sensitive. He definitely could have made it funny and like responded to her and just made it in a funny way. But so that's one thing. But the reason this is funny that they're coming up in the news again is because this is some major tea that I've posted on my page, but I'm not sure if everybody knows. But Perfect Match. We've talked about how Perfect Match is going to have like not just Netflix people. So Clayton, that I just discussed, Clayton Eckerd, and then one of the other girls that was on the season with him, which her name is Rikkii.
Okay.
They are going to be on Perfect Match. So he was the Bachelor. Gabby, Wendy, and Rachel were the two contestants that he like slept with and dumped. They had a lot of drama, and now Rachel and Clayton, are going to be on Perfect Match together. So there's a lot of drama going on with them. Well, Rachel's not really involved in this drama, but
it'll be interesting to see her and Clayton together again and what the vibes are like. So he was on The Bachelor and he didn't end up getting married to anyone?
So I'm trying to remember what happened on this season. I know that Gabby and Rachel both did not end up with him. I think Gabby dumped him in sort of like a dramatic way because he admitted that he was like in love with or slept with all three women. There was him, and then Gabby, Rachel, and another girl named Susie. So in the end, he ended up with Susie, not Gabby, not Rachel. They ended up being bachelorettes, like a dual bachelorette season. So it was Gabby and Rachel together. So, yeah.
So he got engaged to the other one, but then they didn't end up ever getting married.
No, they dated for a while and then they broke up. So Gabby and Rachel did not get to the end with Clayton, but they had a lot of drama. Like there was like crying on staircases. There was, he slept with them all. So yes, it's
damn, not sleeping with three women on TV and then being like, "Oh, I was in love with all of you guys." Duh, like no.
Yeah, he was a very messy bachelor. So people are definitely like the reuniting of Clayton and Rachel on the Perfect Match.
It's going to be epic. It sounds like it's going to be explosive and epic.
Yes, and so
the Perfect Match is going to be really good this season. We have AD and Ollie, and we get to watch their like love story unfold. We have Freddie. We have Madison, who was like problematic to some people during her season. We have some good ones. We have Alex, allegedly from Temptation Island, who was like real messy during her season. So it's gonna.
We got Sandy from The Ultimatum.
Oh yeah, who hard launched her new man, right?
She just posted a man yesterday, and I could have sworn it was her old man because they look like complete twins. Like literally she has a type for real. So.
Literally look like twins. I was like, why are you sending me this? Ashley sent it to me. I was like, why are you?
You thought it was old.
Sandy and Nick. What was his name? Nick, right? I was like, why are you sending me Sandy and
Nick?
That was his name. Look, guys, look how much he looks like.
It literally is a twin.
It looks like copy and paste, no?
Yeah.
That looks just like Nick. Like, come on.
So, she has a type. Older man with money, maybe. This man looks like he has money, so.
I know that's right.
Smart. I was going to say, that she's the only smart one on these shows. Like, finding an older man with money. Like, no more broke men that are on dating apps and probably
no more broke hot men. Like nobody want a broken hot. You want him a little older because that man's a handsome older guy. Like
he is.
Like that wants a hot tatty on his arm. So she
was posting from this event and it looked quite fancy. There was caviar, there was champagne things happening. So I mean, better than going to like Chick-fil-A or something.
Right, or going somewhere and you got to pay for everything like Virginia did with Devin.
We need to find, Virginia needs to go on Perfect Match and talk to Sandy and find out how do we find these nice men. Yes, we're not talking sugar daddies here. This guy looks like a decent guy as well. He's not like
it doesn't look.
He's
like
attractive. He's older, attractive, established. Yes.
Yeah. I think Virginia needs like a good maybe 48 to 55 range. Like that's a good. You know what I mean? That's a good age range. You know?
I agree. I totally agree.
Yeah. Okay, so now we can get into Love is Blind Sweden. Did you watch the reunion?
I did watch the reunion.
Okay.
So we'll get right into the biggest moment. Were you shocked? I know, so sweet. Like this season has been amazing. And the reunion, what a way to top it off. Because
Oh.
did you think he had, like, they broke up when you first saw it?
Yes, like, because I kept seeing the previews and they were like, where's Karan? And, you know, he did a really good job at like being like, oh.
He's a great actor.
Yeah. So I was like, what? Like the one couple that I just thought was like for sure gonna make it, like she's not here. Like I just like, and then I don't know. I don't know what it is, but he's so handsome to me, Nicholas. Like I didn't find him that handsome on the show, but I don't know, just because he's just so sweet and loving that it just I don't know, but I just find him so cute. So when she walked out, I was like, oh my God. And she's huge.
So, I know, so pregnant. Like they said, the show, did they say the weddings were 9 months ago, right? So it was literally like immediately. And when they showed that little clip of them like doing the pregnancy test, they were so cute, but so shocked. Like I didn't get the vibe that it was like, let's have a baby. And then they tried to have a baby. It was kind of like a surprise, which happens a lot to us. So like that's, you think like they got married, right? So we already know they wanted to be together, but like what do you think about it being like a surprise pregnancy? Like
I think like what they said makes sense. Like I believe, I don't remember their ages, but I feel like Karen's older, like she's like 35, right? Or something like that. So
unfortunately that's a geriatric pregnancy. I learned the hard way.
Right. So like I understand like her maybe feeling like, okay, like, you know, we're getting married, like we want a family, like why wait? It's gonna take probably a year to get pregnant, and then it just like happened like right away. I thought that I love that they showed us the pregnancy video. Like it seemed so genuine and authentic, where she's like, no, like it's fake. I don't think that's what it means. I don't believe it. He's like, you're fucking pregnant. Like you're fucking pregnant. Like they both genuinely looked shocked, happy. Like typically, I'm not gonna lie, when there's like that happy couple that like we all know is gonna get married, like I don't care to see them. I'm like, okay, good for you guys. Like I don't want to see the boring snooze fest. There's something so captivating about their love story that I can't look away. Like I was crying. Like I literally cried. Like I know these people. Like
I know.
I'm crying at Karen and Nicholas. Like I'm crying at their baby video. I want to see more of them, which is like really bizarre because typically I do not want to see more of like the happy couple that get married. I genuinely don't. Give me the mess, okay? But them, it was just so beautiful. It was so beautiful.
I know, it was so sweet. And so cute that they're having a baby girl, and they said like any day now. So I've been watching her socials. She probably
got pregnant on her wedding night. Like
that's definitely what it was giving. So I think you're right. They like, you know, they're like, we're married. Why like prevent it, and we'll just see what happens. And it happened immediately. So good for them. And they did do an After the Altar for Sweden season 1. So I think they'll do it for this one.
I would imagine that the U.S. stopped doing After the Altars because we've only been getting one married couple for a few seasons now, right? You know, so it's like, what the hell are you going to do with, you know, although I do think like it's a missed opportunity to like, even though the couples don't get married, it's just like interesting to put them all back together.
I think it could be great, especially
I think it could be great. Like, but they were
season.
trying to base the freaking After the Altar on the married couples only.
Yeah.
And I think that if they just do it on the couples in general and just put them all back together for a weekend, we're gonna get some good stuff. Like, you know what I mean?
This season has the Joey and Monica Sarah drama, and I mean, imagine putting Lauren and David back together for a weekend, and then Ben and Sarah. Like, I want to see that. I want to see all of that.
Yeah,
so
I know.
Please bring After the Altar back, because I think maybe they stopped it because by the time they would film it, because they're just so behind on their airing of stuff. So by the time they filmed it and then aired it, things had changed again, like completely, and so no one cared anymore. So I think if they did it, if they could get like a quick turnaround on it, like if they filmed it now and then got it out in like a couple weeks, it would be worth it. If they wait like 3 months, it's too long.
Yeah,
So.
for sure. For sure. I think it would be great. Again, the after drama on season 6 was so much better than the season itself. So it's like, yeah, like now people want to know what is, I mean, even though we know what's going on with Joey and Sarah because we told you first, but it's like
Yes.
we want to see the
I know.
dynamic of all of them back together. Like I think they
feel-
are missing an opportunity just because the couples aren't getting married. I think that they haven't caught on to the fact that like the married couples are actually what we care about the least. So-
Yeah. We want to see who's going to end up dating after. We want the drama. I mean, I feel bad because we talked about this whole Yeehaw crew they seem to have made of like Sarah and Joey and so I feel bad because it seems like they're all hanging out and like Monica is a little left out because of the Sarah Joey thing. I'm like, I would rather see the girls hanging out, like Sarah and Monica and Taylor. I don't want to see this, like they have this random Scott guy we didn't even see on the camera. Now he's doing like the Q&As with them as though he's like part of the show. It's just a lot, but
because that's the one that Lauren was dating for a little bit.
Yeah.
She's like not dating him anymore. Or
yeah,
maybe
they're really
she is,
trying
who
to
knows?
make like
they're really trying to make Yeehaw happen. It's just not gonna happen.
Yeah.
Anyway.
No, I mean I do like seeing what they're doing since the show, but the group that they've chosen, you know, we've seen what Joey's like, so we're not the biggest fans. And what house, I would rather see a different group, I guess.
Yeah.
That's who they've chosen. So I think the fact that they have Daniel and Taylor in their little group really helps because obviously,
that's the only,
we like them, and so they're trying
to
like,
speaking of a different group, we were I do think I would watch the After the Altar for Love is Blind Sweden because the couples are just so, I don't know if it's just like I'm over America and they're USA. I'm not over it. I love it. I can't look away. But it was just something about this season that like, yes, I want to see an After the Altar. So hopefully we get that. By that time, the baby will be here, so we'll get to see the baby maybe, hopefully, you know?
Yes.
So
we want to see the baby.
Yeah.
Show us the baby.
So who's next after Carl?
Well, since they were so lovely and had such a wonderful update, the not as lovely update was the whole Millie, Ola, Oscar, Alicia. Like, what did you think about Millie saying like she had feelings for Oscar? That was weird to me. I'm like, you were about to marry Ola. I understand. Like
Ola's face was kind of like the fuck. Two-Face also like we don't give a damn about Ola, so haha in your face.
Yeah, you think she was trying to make him jealous a little? Yeah,
a little bit. I think she was trying to make him jealous a little bit. I think she wanted. You know, every girl wants their ex, like they want to come in and shut shit down and want them to like kind of want them a little bit. But like, I think she was trying to make him jealous, but I don't know. It didn't seem like Oscar was on the same page to me. I feel like Millie kind of shot her shot at Oscar, and I also feel like Alicia shot her shot at Tim, and they both got shut down, in my opinion.
I know. I would have loved to see Millie and Alicia come there with like new men and be like, we don't care about these guys. They, you know, I was sad to see them seem like a little hung up on the guys, and they seem to have moved on. Like Tim says he was with someone else, and Ola says he's with someone else. Who knows if that's true? But
I think he lying.
Yeah.
The one thing that they did leave out was they did not ask about that weird Bia lady. Like I feel like when he said he's with somebody, I'd have been like, is it Bia? Because it's like that's what it was giving. He did bring up his tantric.
Yes, when they had like the
tantric when they talked about his or whatever the hell that was, like centering himself. He brought up his tantric sex cult.
I wonder if his new partner is from the same cult. Like that would be a better fit for him, I think. But you know when they showed all the scenes of like how much all the men were liking Ola and like the Oscar Ola like bromance. Yeah. And they were really like, it made me think, like, I feel like we got close to it in this season, but it would be interesting if one of the storylines is like people falling for each other in the common area. Because we did have B-Dot and Madison that were bisexual this season. And I'm not saying that's what's happening with Ola and Oscar, but it would be interesting on a future season if they did have one of these bromances or like girl things turn into an actual romance, I think that would
Yeah.
be a good story.
And
So,
Ola kind of made a joke about it and was like, "Oh, I it looks like I dated the men or
yeah.
whatever." And I thought
Hmm.
I found it very interesting that everybody spoke so highly of Ola, like all of the
Hmm.
men. He was even crying if you saw it, and then it's like as a viewer, we just think he's a complete douchebag. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like we're just like we hate you actually. So it's like it
Hmm.
might be like maybe he's a good person and like
Well, it
but
is
maybe not because
interesting.
he doubled down. He doubled down at the end
Yeah.
when they were like, "Does anybody else have anything to say?" And he'd be like, "It's okay to say no if the attraction's not
I know, it was
there."
so funny when they asked everyone, "Do you believe in that love can be blind?" And the only two to say no were Oscar and Ola. So,
And it's like,
no
why did
shock
Oscar
there.
say no? If you fell in love and you think she's like, you know what I mean? Like you fell in love with her,
Hmm.
so why would you say no? But I do think that Oscar like was faking. Like cuz and
Yeah.
he almost got me for a little bit cuz I almost believed him. I almost believed
Hmm.
like, oh, he's just so reserved and he's just holding back his feelings and he didn't know how to
Hmm.
express it. And now
Yeah.
that he's, reflecting, like he's able to, I think he realized like, oh dang, I came off like really shallow, really cold, and really scary. So like
Yeah.
now I have to make it seem like, oh, this is my defense mechanism.
Hmm.
Because I do think like all of that, like, oh yeah, it was just like I was like holding it in, and I still have feelings for Alicia, and I still think about her, and I still like it still makes me so sad. I'm still hung up on her. Like I was like, because
Yeah.
like she said, like you looked me dead in my face, cold as ever, and was like, I feel nothing when I
Yeah.
see you in
I know he
Tim.
was trying to make her feel so bad about the Tim stuff, and like I was not falling for it, but like okay. And then she was like, "Well, you told me you feel nothing seeing me with him," and it's like,
And
she's
I
laughing
think
there.
I think genuinely he felt nothing. I think
Yeah.
that coldness that we seen
Hmm.
on screen is like how he is. And I
Yeah.
think he realized that it comes off creepy and it comes off weird. So he tried to backpedal and he's trying to save his ass, which I think maybe some people bought it. I
Hmm.
think he was probably able to save his ass a little bit,
Yeah.
so I think some people bought it because it did like come off like, I thought the interaction between Alicia and Tim at the lake was like, but like I said,
Hmm.
I think she did it intentionally to see if he would
Yeah.
feel something, and then
Yeah.
he's like, I didn't feel nothing, and she's like, oh, okay,
Hmm.
so I don't know,
Yeah.
I
It
don't
is
know,
nice. Like they don't seem to like come for each other as hard as on the U.S. reunions. Like no one's accusing each other of fame or trying to get a good storyline. Like it's so much more genuine. They actually
hmm
just talk about what happened, and they just stayed true to like because like no one accused him of like wanting screen time or any of them like saying yes to get screen time. It was just more like the actual reasons why you might love or not love this person. So I
right.
liked it. Just feels a little bit more real.
It does feel very authentic. I will say that. And
Hmm.
I loved that the other cast members were asking questions. Like I loved
Yeah,
that element
Yakko.
because it would, yeah, like they were like asking things that maybe the host may have missed. And I think
Uh huh.
him asking Tim, like, did you think that was appropriate? Like what you did with
Hmm.
Alicia in front of Oscar? Like genuine question. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Because I think everybody was like, ooh, ooh,
yeah.
they getting real comfortable over there right in front of Oscar's face. You know what I mean? So I
Hmm.
liked that element of it too. And it's
Did
like,
you think?
did it seem like to you that Alicia was like, she was 100% shooting her shot? Like she was like basically saying, I feel like we didn't get a fair shot, me and
Yeah,
Tem, and that's why there's these feelings here because we didn't really get to explore it.
yeah.
And
Well, it was weird that they said they had met up over the summer and like kissed, right?
and that was so weird and vague. The way she was smiling, the way he was laughing.
Yeah,
I was like, they fucked. That's
yeah.
when that's when it
That's
came to me.
not.
I thought, oh, they
Yeah,
fudged.
that's more than a kiss. That awkward tension between them. But what happened after that? Like, why? Why didn't they pursue it further, or
Exactly.
why that they
It
kind of
wasn't
left
clear.
a story out there? Because yeah, if
Yeah.
they hooked up, even if it was only a kiss, then what? Like, so he
Yeah,
just
I
met
think the
someone
host
else?
should have asked. I think it kind
Yeah.
of got it kind of got overshadowed with Oscar being like, you lied to me basically
Yeah, the kiss.
about the kiss. So
Yeah, I know. We kind
that
of
was
missed out on like why didn't Tim and Alicia actually date? They didn't say what happened there. Like
yeah.
someone must have like ghosted the other one or said I'm not interested.
Mm-hmm.
So like
Yeah, then we didn't really get a
obviously
clear
Tim
answer there.
probably. Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't get a clear answer there, but it definitely was given that they banged.
Hmm.
Sorry. That's what it was giving to me. And then Ola
I
and Millie,
agree.
it seemed like Millie was over the Ola situation, but also she said she was triggered by a lot of the things that he did and said, and like,
Yeah.
I could see that too. It seemed like she still had a little bit of something there, and then it seemed
Hmm.
to me like Oscar wasn't interested in Millie whatsoever. So
No, I know. I wish, like I said, that Millie came in kind of like either single and happy or with a new relationship. And I mean, I guess that's the whole point is rehashing
mhm.
everything. But yeah, it was giving like she was like pining for Oscar a
Because she
bit. And
said, didn't she say, or I'm tripping, that she was like, I still have those feelings now. Like, as I sit
yeah,
here today, like, I still have them now. Like, she was kind of throwing it out there, like, I'm still interested.
yeah. And I was
Yeah.
like, I don't love that for her. I think she
Yeah.
got embarrassed enough on the show, and it would have been good for her to come in and kind of be like, I
Yeah.
learned to
And
love
Oscar kind of
myself.
friend zoned her. Like, cause he was like, yeah, like,
Yeah,
I was surprised that Millie told me she had these feelings for me because, yeah, she's easy to talk to. Yeah, we talk on the phone all the time, but it was giving, it's not like that for me. Like, she's very
yeah.
much a friend to me, you know? Ugh,
Hmm.
you know?
Yeah. So
Yikes.
what about Carolina and Jakob? What did you think?
I love that they're still together. I
Uh huh.
definitely understand why his feelings would be hurt, like watching it
Yeah.
back and like realizing that she wasn't attracted to him. But again, I think that their story to me is the most authentic. Like
Uh huh.
it makes sense. Like you're not always just going to be physically like super physically attracted to somebody. So I love that it grew and that they're still together. I'm nosy, so I can't help but wonder like what
Yeah.
happened to where Carolina had to stay back and they're separated and living these separate lives. Um,
Yeah. I wish they would have like. Obviously, you don't have to share everything, but you are on a reality show, and if it was like, I kind of got the vibe it must be something with her family or something. So
right,
maybe they don't
right,
want their business out there. So
right.
that
And
makes
Jakob was really
sense.
emotional about it. He was crying.
Yeah.
So I think it that's the only thing it could
I
be, right? Like,
wonder
well, she
if
said
it
it
had.
was her family. She did say it something happened within her family. She just wasn't
Hmm.
specific. So I don't know if it was a death or maybe somebody's ill or something like that, to where it would require her to like
I wonder if it had
stay
anything
back.
to do with like her family not liking this marriage. Like not that they don't like Yaka, but that they're not happy with what she did. But they
Mm,
obviously they saw her get married, so I don't know. Yeah, they
mm-hmm.
kept it very vague. You would think they
Yeah,
would
and because
share a bit.
and then I thought like I think what confused me was like we're living in both places right now, and it was like
Hmm.
I finally have her here with me. So I thought like the period of them living separately was over, and then she was like, "Oh, I have to leave him again tomorrow." So I'm like, "Okay, so
Yeah.
it's not over. You guys are
Hmm.
still in this period of like living separately," which obviously is never a good sign for like a married couple. I know when
No.
Milton and Lydia were doing it, they were like, they're fake. They're not real. Like they're not
Yeah.
a real couple.
The
I
same
still
with
think they fake.
Colleen and Matt.
I still think they fake. Like they've been married all this time, and I'm like, I don't buy it. but
Yeah. It's
they're
definitely
still
yeah.
married, so
Yeah, if you
I'm just
get married on the show and then you don't live together, like it's very easy to be seen as for the show and not a real marriage because
mm,
yeah, it's a total cop out, like oh we're married but we're not living together. So
yeah.
I don't do you think they're gonna last or no?
Um, I do. I
Yeah.
do because it does seem like they like each other. Like it seems like he really likes her and it seems like she does really have genuine feelings for him. So
Hmm.
I would say yeah. I think they're gonna last.
Yeah.
What about you?
Yeah, I mean I still get messages every day about Matt and Colleen. Everyone thinks they're broken up and I'm like because they took a long time to move in together. I think some people just they get married on the show and then they kind of revert back to like dating and see how it goes.
Right.
But they're still
Right.
together, so
Right.
They're just taking it slow, except for that they got married, that part, but.
Except that little detail.
Yeah, that little like death do us part thing. It's like no big deal.
No big deal.
So what about Victor and Natalie? What?
They're cute. I think they're a beautiful couple. I wasn't surprised to hear that they still got married. I think the surname thing was interesting.
Yeah, that was interesting.
That was interesting. I guess that works differently in different cultures, because here in the States, it's like you take your husband's last name. There's really not a debate about it unless you're like Kim Kardashian. You know, yeah. And you hyphenate. So I think I was surprised to hear that she took. You know, they did both. Yeah.
Is it common there? Because you know it's funny, because my husband has 3 brothers, so I have 3 sister-in-laws. So I took my husband's name, and my newest sister-in-law took the name, but the other 2 did not take the name. So it's like 50-50. But the man does not take the woman's name, as far as I don't know anyone like that. That's less common. But yeah, that must be like a European thing, the taking of the wife's name, or the mixing of the names, or do you think that's becoming common too?
So he took her last name. They took both.
Yes, they put them both.
So they both have. Okay.
But it seems like they debated taking hers fully. That was sort of like on the table, right?
Yeah, so, like that's interesting. Now that is like kind of unheard of here, like taking like
same with here, as far as I know.
Yeah, as far as I know certain cultures like will like hyphenate, because it's like the name in certain cultures is like very powerful and very, you know what I mean? But for the most part, like it's very American to be like it would be like if you told a man that you're not taking his last name, like that's grounds to like not marry you, like not get married, you know? So I found that interesting. I think they're cute though. I think, you know.
I would not want to have grown up with a hyphenated last name personally, but maybe if you have had that doesn't bother you. I don't know. Let us know in the comments, because
And where did they land on where they live? Because I think that was a little unclear to me. Maybe the subtitles were going too fast for me. I was like, where do they live?
It was hard because I like to multitask, and with this one I could not multitask because you have to read everything. Yeah. So it's definitely, usually I have like a headphone and listening and half watching, but listening to the whole thing. And this was more like, you got to focus on it. So I think they said they moved to a whole different town, right? Isn't that what they said? Yeah, like not one of the first 2 that they had named.
Yeah, it wasn't Stockholm, and it wasn't the other place. I can't remember the names, but I was like, so they landed somewhere in the middle to where they're close to both families. Yeah. Right?
Well, Sweden, I mean, I've never been to Europe. I have seen a map, but, you know, I've never studied the map that closely. And Sweden is a lot bigger than I realized. Okay. So I was like, because remember last time we were talking, and I was like, what's the big deal? A different city in Sweden. It can't be that far, but it is.
And I think we checked, right? And it was like,
we did, yes.
It was like an hour train, or 5 hours. Look at me.
Yeah.
It was like 5 hours. We're like, that's not that bad. You can go on the weekends.
Yeah. Maybe it was an hour. I can't remember, but it is definitely bigger than I thought. Because I think usually we look at Europe, like for me at least, on a map, and you see like the whole of Europe and all the little countries, right? So it looks closer than it is, and then when you only look at one country, you're like, okay, that is quite a bit of a jaunt to go to other cities.
Yeah.
Because every time you hear someone go to Europe, they're like, I took the train from this country to this country, and I just trained across the whole thing. Yeah, so it seemed like
easy peasy.
Like it couldn't be that far, right? But yeah, I can't remember the name of the city, but it did sound like they compromised. Yeah. So we'll see. They do seem like a great fit, though. I think
they do.
They
didn't even realize less quiet. Yeah, they seem less quiet. They talk more. It's cute. They're cute.
Yeah.
So I see them making it.
Yes. Yeah. I guess that's all the couples then.
That's all that. Yeah. We got a lot of love. We got a lot of love that season. So that was nice.
Yeah, I do. I like that one. I mean,
it was a really good one. It was a really good one. Like for it to be so. Like, I don't know, like, because you would think with that many marriages that there wasn't any drama and nothing like, you know, but it was good.
No, it was a great mix of love and drama. So, good job, Sweden. We loved it.
Good job, Sweden.
should we shift to $1,000,000 Secret, the episodes 4, 5, and 6? We did a great interview with Lauren and Say Young. If you missed that, it was out last week, so we had fun chatting with them. We have a lot more exciting things coming this week, so stay tuned for that. Yeah. What did you think about these episodes?
Okay, so because they came out on Wednesday and I watched them right when they dropped, it is now Monday. I forgot. My brain just goes a million miles an hour. But where we left off,
we can just talk about the main stuff. Yes,
we can. So the main thing, right where we left off, was like they were on to Phil, and so the next episode started with them giving away this massive clue that his agenda was like a thrill, a scary movie, and they figured it out right away that it was Scream.
Do you think they did it dirty because he didn't do the first agenda? Remember, like what it was, the rock, like where we thought he had a great opportunity with the rock throwing, and he didn't do it. So he did do this one, and then they really threw him under the bus. So I
don't think they threw him under the bus, because I feel like if he would have done the agenda in a more sneaky way, nobody would have figured it out. Like I feel like that's the difference between men and women, because you see how Lauren executed her agendas. Like they were so sly, they were so, versus him being like, let's go scream on the balcony. Like, bruh, like, sir, like, what were you thinking? Because I feel like if he would have his initial thought, like throw them in the pool, like throw someone in the pool and then they scream, or it's so less obvious. They wouldn't have even noticed, like, oh my God, scream. We screamed when we went in the pool. So I think that was his bad, like doing such an obvious agenda. And he was so caught. He was so caught. Yeah. But I do like his
He wasn't
a great millionaire.
No, I feel bad saying that, but not compared to Lauren.
Lauren was so good at it. Sam, which we'll get to, is so good at it. Like you see the difference between how a man and a woman does something. I do like that Phil tried his hardest to like give forth an excuse of like why you shouldn't vote off the millionaire and why you should kind of, vote off a stronger player, which is a good game play. I don't know why I feel like these last few episodes, like, we saw a lot of Chris and how much he was influencing people in the house. Like, because the only reason I feel like Sydney was safe that round is because, Chris like really advocated for her. And I feel like he's got a lot of influence on the people in the house. And I don't really understand why. No.
And he definitely, his intentions for saving Sydney were interesting, because obviously she's a big target. She seems like someone that you would want to vote out, but because he has a little crush on her, he's like saving her, which is kind of silly for his game, obviously, because as we saw, he goes home. So like it was silly for his game. It was just a lot, and I love that Sydney's like, I'm hot, so like I'd be stupid not to use it to my advantage, because I'd be doing the same thing she's doing. Like there's a lot of guys in here. Girl, I'm gonna flaunt my little sexy ass around this house because what did you think of her? What did you think of that dress with the crystals? That was so cool.
I need to know where she got it from.
Yes.
I need to know where she got it from. If we ever talk to her, that's literally going to be my first question. It's like, girl, where'd you get that dress? It was banging. It was, I was like, I want it. I need it. Like, I'll eat down in this dress, okay? Like, it was giving. She wore it because she thought she was going to be eliminated,
Yes, she definitely was like, I need to make sure this is seen before I get out of here. So, I respected that she did that. So, well, so we saw Phil go home. They voted out Phil. And then the next episode, we saw Lydia go home, which was sad. I liked Lydia a lot.
I liked Lydia a lot.
They were on to her, though. They knew she was really smart. They knew she was figuring things out. So I'm not surprised that they didn't vote her out.
They didn't vote her out. It was the kill shot that voted her out. I felt like they weren't on to Lydia. Like they, like she was like putting in some gameplays, but I think she did such a good job of like covering up like, oh, well, no, this isn't my idea. This is not
That
coming
was
from
so
me.
good.
Like, I'm just this little grandma that like
Yeah.
knows nothing. Like, I don't have these brilliant ideas. So
Yeah.
I thought I would have loved to see Lydia be the millionaire. I'm sad that we didn't get to see that because I think that she would have played a really good game, and I was curious to see how she played it.
Yeah.
So I'm still trying to figure out like Sam's like reasoning behind sending her home with the kill shot. Like, I know that she was trying to pin it off on Sydney, but from my recollection, I thought Sydney said she thought Cara was the millionaire.
Yes. So I know that Sam and Cara are so close. Like, I remember at one point she said something to the effect of,
She's
like,
like,
I would
"Madonna."
rather, yeah, she's like, I would rather go home than vote out Cara. So that was probably where Sam, if she made any mistakes, that was one of them, because sending Cara home would have made way more sense for her game.
Yeah,
Because I think Cara's going to go all the way.
Did Sydney say she thought it was Lydia? Because that's what I was so confused
She
about.
did.
She did.
She said Cara, and then gave her reasons because of, like you said, how fun would it be to cook all day, but you do cook all day. And then she went to Lydia and said Lydia. So Sam in that moment was like, okay, Cara or Lydia. Obviously she's going to go with Lydia because she's close with Cara. So that's how that happened. But yeah, I think obviously had Sydney not said Lydia's name, I don't know what Sam would have done if Sydney had only said Cara. Would she have still sent Cara home, or like would she have decided to send Cara home, or
do you think that if Sam would have sent Chris home, it would have been obvious that she was the millionaire? Because it didn't matter if they figured it out at that point, right? Because the money was moving. No. Regardless.
I feel like I'm shocked that she didn't just send Jamie home, because Jamie everyone didn't like. But was that before? Remember when someone?
No, they knew she wasn't the millionaire by that point. Like,
yeah. So that was in that episode.
Corey got to look in a box, and he looked in Jamie's box, which I thought that Corey executed his agenda really well.
That was so smart when he said
how he came out,
named them.
The craziest part is he named three things and said, "Oh, it's a clue to who the millionaire is," and those three things were actually a clue to who the millionaire. Yeah, because they all had to do with her being a cop, and it's like he didn't even know that, you know. Yeah. So
yeah, that was so smart. Corey, I think Corey has the best chance of winning. Corey or Cara, those are my.
Because they're flying under the radar. They are flying under the radar. They're very smart. They're laying low. They're not too loud. You're right. I agree.
I think Sam is too close to the sun. Like, she's so smart, but they know it. And they're going to get rid of her as soon as they can. Whether she's the millionaire or not, I think they know. They suspect something is up with her. They know she's a cop, but they know she's not being honest. So
they know she's not.
She was a great millionaire. She was
a great millionaire, and she didn't expose that she was the millionaire after she wasn't the millionaire.
Although when they moved, that was really a big mistake of hers. I couldn't believe she did it when they said they moved the money and she was happy. Like, oh, I was like. And she said, no one would be happy unless you had the money. Yeah, everyone else was like, oh no, they're moving the money. I'm going to get the money. And she was the only one that was like, oh yay. And so that was.
Yeah, what is that guy's name? The guy that was like, he's like the young guy, Kyle. The young Kyle. I feel like he's also kind of under the radar as well.
Yeah.
But he was like, why did you say thank God? And she was like, so that we would get it. Like, making it seem like we're at a point in the game where getting the money is not necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah. To me, though, I was just like she was the only one happy. And if I felt like Kyle, like where it was like the only person that would be happy it moved is the person that had it. Because for me, if I was sitting there and I knew I didn't have the money and I know I don't want the money and they say we're moving it, my only reaction would be like, oh, damn it. You know, and her relief was just so obvious that I see where he got that from. But what did you think about your man being mentioned so much in this episode? I could not believe it.
I was like, is he like a writer of the show or something? Because it wasn't. I was like, is he like an executive producer? Because I was like, they literally mentioned the Crimea River, and I thought that was so cool. And then they were like, you have to say his been named 3 times. Like, you have to say Justin Timberlake 3 times. And I just thought, okay, first of all, disrespectful to just kind of call him Jessica Biel's husband. He's so much more than that, okay?
Like multiple times.
Right. And then her to be like, this is from his new podcast. I'm like, oh, you would have been so caught if it was me, because I'd have been like, Justin Timberlake does not have a podcast.
No. I can't believe she got away with it a few times, which is
she
like
got away the same exact way. Like, oh, what's his name again? What's his name? What, like Jessica Biel's husband? You know, so again,
that was giving like, remember when Chelsea was like, you know, MGK's wife? Like, that's what it was giving. Like, you know, the other person is way more famous. So.
Yeah, come on. Like, you know that Justin Timberlake is way more than Jessica Biel's husband. But she executed it well. And again, would have, you know, I think Lydia would have executed being the millionaire really well too. I'm so sad we didn't get to see that. But
I like to think that the producers of $1 Million Secret know you, and they creeped your page, and they were like, this girl is obsessed with Justin Timberlake. Let's talk about him on the show so that she'll talk about it, because they didn't know we were going to have a podcast, so they maybe were like trying to get your attention.
Yes,
so
that's your theory.
It's all for Rikkii.
It's all for me. It's all because they want me to talk about their show. They don't want to pay me to talk about their show, so they're like, oh, well, how can we organically get her to talk about this show?
Yeah.
You're right, Ashley.
Or it could be like an Alex Warren situation, and on the finale or a reunion, boom, Justin's going to pop out with a little performance for us, so...
Oh my God.
He might be busy, but
I think he's busy doing his world tour. But
what world tour?
He's like totally doing, like, he's like overseas right now, I believe.
I saw that he's going to Bottle Rock. I've never been to that, but are you going to that?
Like, I don't do festivals.
No.
My feet can't take it. Okay, I'm like, no, you got to get there all early to get in front of the stage. Like, Mama needs her seat and her water. I can't do a festival. So,
you know what? I went to Lollapalooza, and I only went for 1 day. 1 day festival I can do. 3 day, no. So the ones that don't sell a 1 day ticket, they're not for me. But Lollapalooza is downtown Chicago, so it's a nice one because you can stay in a hotel. Just pop across the street for the music. I don't want a tent. That. I don't want an RV. I want a hotel.
I just want to open my window and hear the music, actually. Yeah.
You don't have to leave the hotel. You can just
I just want to listen from the balcony, like.
Yes.
That's all.
That's not a bad idea.
My vibes. Yeah.
So I'm gonna look into that.
Wait, so am I missing something? So the money move. Do we know who our new millionaire is, or we find out on the new episodes?
I don't think they told
us. Right.
No, they didn't. I think they ended it on the fight between Sam and Kyle. Like him calling her out, like, why did you...
Wait, can we please talk about really quickly Lydia's exit, where she was like, I'm not an escrow officer. I've been playing poker for the last 30 years, and boom. Yes. And Jamie basically... like, told her to her face, like, you're a pretentious asshole. And I was like, I fuck with Lydia. Like, she's that bitch.
They do not like Jamie at all. And I
don't like her either, though. I don't like her either, though.
On the show, she's coming across a little defensive and
pretentious. Like, she is coming across pretentious. Exactly what Lydia said to her. She is coming across that way. So... yeah. I love that Lydia wasn't fake about it. She told her straight to her face. She told everybody what she felt about them to their face. And I love a real bitch, okay? Like, I love a bitch that keeps it real. So I thought that was a mic drop moment. It was a moment that will be talked about. And I love that for Lydia. Like,
yes. Well, hopefully stay tuned this week, because we might have some very exciting interviews coming. So we don't want to get ahead of ourselves. So...
we might have some guests that were just mentioned on this podcast. We may or may not have some guests that were mentioned. We will
hopefully have some good chats coming for you. So make sure you're following us on Instagram, Spotify, Apple, wherever you listen. Yeah. Give us a good rating if you love us. So.
Give us a 5-star rating. If you're not going to give us a 5-star rating, then don't give us a rating.
Yes, not to be bossy, but if you're not going to say 5, you can just keep it to yourself.
Just save it until you're ready to give us a 5, till you're ready to make a good judgment.
Think on it, yes. Think on it. Yes.
But this was such a fun episode. Thank you guys for joining us, and we may or may not see you this week, but we will definitely see you next Tuesday.
Yes. See you soon.
Bye,
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys. Hi, guys. Welcome back to the Reality Receipts podcast, starring me, Storytime with Rikkii.
And me, Reality Ashley. And as you can see, we have a very special guest today. We have Lydia from $1,000,000 Secret on Netflix. So if you're watching that, you know you've seen Lydia. If you aren't, then pause this, go catch up. The first 6 episodes are out now. Or no, yeah, 7. So there's lots to see. It's an amazing show. We have been enjoying every second of it. We're so excited to talk to Lydia today. So before we get into all the $1,000,000 Secret, we wanted just to ask a little bit about your background. I have to say your Instagram is amazing. You live my husband's dream life. He's obsessed with poker, obsessed with golf. So you've been playing poker for 30 years, you said. So how did you get into that?
Actually, I learned to play poker when I was about 12 years old.
Wow.
A salty old uncle who'd been in the Navy said, "Girl, you never know when you might need to make your living another way." And we would play for pennies. And that's how I learned to play poker. And then I learned Texas Hold'em poker in my 30s and just kind of started playing casually, and then started doing some tournaments, and then started getting more serious about it and figuring out strategies and that sort of thing. But
That's awesome.
It's fun. I enjoy it.
Yeah.
That is so amazing. I think on the show, like, that was like one of the biggest shocks to me. I was like, she's a Texas Hold'em poker player. And I know in poker you have to be very, like, I don't know anything about poker, by the way, Lydia. But what I do know is, like, poker face, like, you have to keep your poker face, and you don't want to give away your card or your deck. And, like, so I'm like, so she's a professional liar, is what I'm hearing. So she's going to be very good at this game. So I was just telling Ashley, I was so sad that we didn't get to see you be the millionaire because
that was...
Me too. But, at the poker table, you realize it is a game, and there's certain strategies and certain personas you might want to have at the table. When it comes to the game, I don't care if I gave birth to you. I am going to take your money. That's my goal.
Yes.
So you stay focused, and
I love that.
You have a strategy and you stick to it.
Mm-hmm. I love that. It's the gamer mindset that you have going into that. Some people can just really look at it as a game, and those are the ones that are successful at it. You can't be like worrying about people's feelings too much, because you're all there for the same goal, which is to win. So do you feel like playing poker really gave you an advantage in that area, where you were kind of used to not lying necessarily, but like being there to win? That was, you're used to that, right?
I really tried to keep my head in the game the entire time I was there, which was really tough to do. It was from early in the morning until late at night, and to just keep focused on the game. That you might feel a certain way about people, try not to let emotions get in it. I'm a pretty stoic person anyway, so for me to try to play strategically was my goal. That all my moves were about my game and getting me to the end and not getting voted out. Some of it I was better than other times, obviously.
Well, we thought you did great.
We thought you did great, and I think we seen that during the show. You're like, oh my God, all these babies, all these feelings. And I felt the same way. Like, everyone's losing the focus. And I feel like you were that one player that was, keeping the focus. Can you tell us a little bit about how this all came about in the first place? How were you cast for the show? Like, how did all of that go?
Well, it was kind of interesting because you don't see a lot of people my age on reality TV. Most of the people you see on reality TV are young and beautiful and hot. And it actually...
You're beautiful and hot. You are beautiful and hot.
I was going to say, you were rocking the pink bikini on there, like blending right in with everybody.
Yeah,
so
I was a little nervous about that. But,
you looked amazing.
It actually popped up on my Instagram feed. Something popped up that said, apply to compete for $1 million. And I went, oh, $1 million. And I hit the little autofill button, and it just kind of went from there. I got an email, then another email, then did a Zoom call and a text, and interviewed, And of course, it's quite a process to go through the application process. There's a lot to it, but the casting company, narrows it down, and Netflix picks the final people. So the odds of me getting on were pretty slim, but it just popped up on my Instagram feed, and
Right.
I thought, oh, why not?
I could use $1 million. Why not?
Yes, who couldn't? So you had a very iconic moment where you said that Sydney is going to hell on a scholarship, which was amazing. I saw you doing a little bit of merch for that, which is a great idea. So where have you used that term? Is that like a common Texas term, or is that something you came up with? Have you heard it before?
I really don't know where it came from.
Love it.
I live in Texas. We've got all kinds of, I don't think I said bless your heart once, but we've got all kinds of, Texas slang sayings. And I was just saying, I was working in the yard yesterday with my husband and was saying, you're working me harder than a bar of mule. And he just started laughing. And I was like, oh yeah, that's another one. Now that when we say stuff, like a fire truck went by and he was like, someone left the beans on the burner. And I was like, there's another one. Now I'm really aware of the sayings where my girlfriend will say, well, I'm off like a dirty shirt. And she leaves and I'm like, oh, there's another saying.
Yeah. That's so funny.
awesome.
My best friend is from Houston and I steal all her sayings. Like, not my pig, not my farm has become like, I say it all the time. Or she'll be like, you're going to be one sad duck. And it's like, I'm like, Crystal, like, your sayings are so funny. So I pick up her Texas slang all the time. And I'm like, I'm going to use that one. I'm going to use that one.
Yeah.
I'm going to use that one. So,
Yeah,
Lydia, can you tell us a little bit about your rift with Sydney? Like, you came, it kind of seemed like you wanted her out. Can you give us a little, like, was there something we didn't see of why you wanted her out? Or was it just because she was a strategic player, she was a good player, a strong player, and that was your main reasoning for, like,
Yeah,
wanting
she
her
was
out
a
of
strong player. And, she's very charming. And she had a lot of alliances with people who didn't know she had alliances with the other people. And I saw she was gunning for me from the start, and so I was gunning for her. So it just kind of started that way. In the beginning, when everybody, gets there and then they kind of go sit down together and start talking, and I kind of felt right away that nobody was gravitating toward me. And I felt, in fact, I kept a little diary every night. I wrote in and I was trying, like I said, to stay focused on the game, making notes. And I felt like I was kind of on the outs. So I needed to do something. And I approached, with Say Young, I think Lauren, maybe Sam, and kind of thought, okay, I've got to do something to get them to bond with me. And I thought, well, I'll create a common enemy. And so I kind of looked over and Sydney and Jamie and a couple other people were sitting there. And I said, oh, that's the cool kids table. Obviously, we weren't invited. We're not in on their, and I kind of said, well, I'm not in on their alliance. Obviously, they didn't invite me over, which implies neither are you guys. And so it worked. They aligned with me. So that was kind of a strategy early on when I felt like, and I did get votes early on, and I felt like I needed to do something to get people on my side a little bit, or just get people to align with me or want to bond with me or keep me around. And so it was easy. It was just a matter of who sat down where to go, well, her, whoever that is over there, just kind of pick someone.
Yeah, I saw that you made an Instagram reel sort of about like the ageism and how you feel like people maybe perceive certain like other type groups. And so did you feel like when you originally got there and they weren't gravitating towards you that was an age thing, or it was just like a coincidence?
Yeah, I think it was an age thing. And I mean, people naturally will gravitate toward people that are more like them and they've got lots of things in common with. And so, the grandma, maybe not so much. So, I do kind of say that, in our society, a woman over 55 or 60 is really insignificant, really invisible to most people. And we are aware of prejudices out there. We're aware of bigotry, homophobia, racism, sexism, but ageism, I was never aware of it when I was younger. You don't get aware of it until you get there and it just slaps you. And then you become really, really aware of the ageism. And so,
Yeah.
it's just something that happens. But I did kind of feel like it was an age factor, maybe. And
Yeah.
that's one reason why I also targeted Harry in the beginning. They're going to get rid of one of the old people,
Yeah.
let it be him, and not me.
Might as well be him. But I think that you like proved them so wrong, because you're this poker player and you were probably one of the smartest people there. You were calling out things that no one else was seeing. So obviously that was a great lesson that you taught the audience and the people there, that you shouldn't discount someone because of their age, because that person probably has a lot more life experience and wisdom and things that are actually super beneficial in a game like this versus like something you shouldn't gravitate towards. So I think you did a great job of proving them wrong for sure. But
I actually, in the beginning, Say Young and I were playing a lot alike. We both went into the game. Everybody knew it was a game of deception going in. And Say Young and I both thought it was going to be like an escape room, and that there would be clues everywhere because we'd been told there would be clues. And so I was trying not to be too shifty-eyed, looking for all these patterns or clues or things. Say Young, she was just blatant about it. But I was trying to be, turning everything upside down.
Yes.
So I was trying to be a little more subtle about it, but also, like I said, was trying to talk to people and not be too...
You're too obvious
about it. And then it turned out to be nothing like an escape room at all. That was a complete mental waste.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like just from the jump, you were a very strong player. I feel like in the beginning episodes, I was like, they're underestimating her because we see you in your confessionals, and I'm like, okay, she's a badass, okay?
Yeah.
And I think you were one of the first people to catch on to Phil. Right? Like you were one of the first people to catch on to Phil and the throwing the rocks, and like, can you just give us a little bit more insight on like how you knew how did you know he was the millionaire? Like what triggered you? Like what put you onto him? What about the rock skipping just was like, yeah, that's weird.
Yeah. And Phil is such a nice person. I mean, he is so genuine. And I think it was hard for him to lie. Harder than it was for me, obviously.
Yeah.
I think it was a little harder for him to lie, and I think it kind of ate at him just a little bit. But obviously, the scream thing, even before we knew that was the clue, I said, that's strange behavior. Especially, Phil didn't seem like a screamer. So I was kind of like, that's a little unusual behavior. Of course, he had chipped his tooth, so, maybe he was acting a little funny because of that. But I was, like I said, suspicious of everybody and looking for any little thing. But then when we did figure it out, it was Phil. It was obvious it was Phil. That's when I thought, okay, now's a chance to get rid of somebody else, because a new millionaire, if he goes out tonight, we'll get a new millionaire tomorrow and we'll start over at square one.
Yeah.
If we keep him in, we can prevent him from getting any more power, because the millionaire always had extra power when they complete their agenda. We can keep him from completing any kind of agenda because we're all onto him.
Yeah.
And
that's smart.
then we could keep him another day, and just keep him a little longer and keep that money from going to somebody else and having to start over again. So I was kind of thinking a couple of steps ahead. And also I wanted to get Sydney out. So I kind of was trying to plant that seed without it coming back to bite me. So there were a lot of things that I did sometimes with people to try to get them to take something and run with it so that it wouldn't look like it was my idea. And I thought we had the votes for it. And then right before we went into dinner, I realized Kyle was not on board with it. And he wasn't going to vote for Sydney. And Corey and I kind of had a signal to each other that we were going to give if it was going to be go ahead and vote for Sydney. And we kind of gave each other and
it's not happening.
So we knew, okay, it's going to be Phil. So go with that.
I think that was such a smart strategy to not get rid of the millionaire. Keep Phil. Like you said, it's better the devil you know than the one you don't, right? Like you would know that he's a millionaire, avoid his agendas. That was such a good strategy. And another strategy you had was throwing the competition with Sydney. So can you tell us a bit about that? Like what was your thoughts, and do you regret doing that, or do you think that was a good idea?
I wasn't trying really hard to throw it. I really, in fact, the first few shots that she was taking when I was standing there, I was like a statue. I wasn't doing anything wrong. And she was like, well, go up, go down. You know, she was getting frustrated. It was a very hard challenge. I know it looks easy, but it was a much harder challenge than it looks like. And she was getting frustrated. And so I was just kind of like, well, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Might as well just lean into
Right.
it. Yeah.
She probably just needed someone to blame because she couldn't make her shot. So she's like, Lydia, it's you. And you're like, actually, I'm standing like a statue. It's not me. You just don't have any aim. And I'm just
you can only do so much.
It was a hard game. It really was.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Were you suspicious when Sam asked you if you heard ringing? Because we see this scene of her trying to get you to say, were you suspicious at all in that moment?
No, I thought she was nuts. Because she says, well, Lydia's older, maybe she can hear things. And I'm thinking, Sam, you're hearing things, you know. I don't know. I don't hear anything. But no, I wasn't suspicious of it at all.
Yeah, that didn't pan out.
That
So
didn't pan out.
at the round or the table where they're eliminating people, Sam, she called you a mastermind, and Sydney, she called you smart and strategic. She was really coming for you in that moment where Sam was deciding like who she's going to use her kill shot on. So do you think that they were just intimidated by you and that's why Sydney sort of threw your name out at that table? Or do you think it was just because she knew you were coming for her?
Oh, well, she knew I was coming for her. And I had kind of tried to start off going, I'm just going to be a sweet grandma from Texas. And I wasn't able to keep it up. You know, I just couldn't keep it up that long. Yeah. And so when, you know, she said a lot of things about, you know, Lydia's strategic and she's smart and she, you know, I was like, okay, you know, but going into that dinner, of course, I thought Sydney was going home, but going into it, I had decided I'm going to stir things up going forward. I've kind of tried to lay low and fly below the radar thing. Now's the time to flip the switch, make a few enemies if you need to, stir the pot a little bit, and I'm going to stir things up. So the clue was the millionaires lying about their profession. And I knew Sydney was lying about her profession. And Jamie was lying about her profession. I didn't think Cara was flipping hamburgers, but I didn't care. Cara and I were in an alliance, and I didn't care. So if she was a secret millionaire at the time, that was okay. Sam, her body language changed some that day. I noticed some things about her that were changing, but I didn't care. So I didn't think Corey was lying. Didn't think Kyle was lying. So, and Chris, smart guy, I probably would have been going after him right after that because he was on to me. He knew that there was something more to me. And so I knew as far as the lying about your profession, both Sydney and Jamie were good to point to for that. And so at the dinner, I kind of called them both out on it and, you know, said that I thought, you know, they were lying about their profession. And there were questions in which I'd had private conversations with both of them. And questions in my mind had come up, and I waited at the dinner to bring them up in front of everybody. So I could just throw them under the bus in front of everybody and give them kind of this awkward, explain yourself kind of moment. And if it hadn't been for the secret millionaire's extra power, Sydney had the votes, she would have gone home that night.
Yes.
So that was what I was aiming for.
Yeah.
And I wanted to throw enough suspicion to make Jamie go home next.
Right.
Because I figured the person lying about their profession was one of those two. And so those would be the two to go. And neither one of them was in my alliance, so that just fit everything perfectly.
Yeah.
Right.
Makes
Right.
sense.
Speaking of Jamie, I feel like we got this mic drop moment from you when you did get eliminated. First of all, your elimination, my mouth dropped. Like when they said your name, I did not expect it at all. I thought Chris was going home, or I thought maybe Cara was going home, because I know that she had this strategy to like put it on Sydney or see who Sydney was gunning for, and then so it would point at Sydney. And from my viewpoint, it looked like Sydney had her eyes on Cara, but you see Sam and Cara have such a close friendship that she wasn't going to send Cara home. I don't even remember Sydney saying your name. So when it was your name that got called, my mouth dropped because Sam was a part of your alliance, you know? So did you feel betrayed? Like, now watching it back, knowing that it was Sam that sent you home with her kill shot, like, do you feel betrayed, or like, how do you feel? Did you feel like it was a good game?
It was a game. And you know what? I would have done the same thing in her position because it took the suspicion off of her. Because when they said the secret millionaire gets to choose who's going home, I knew right away it was probably me. Because right out of Sydney's mouth had just come, who's the most dangerous player in this game? And she said, Lydia. And so the focus had just been pointed right at me. And so when he said that, I thought, okay, I'm going home. That's it. I'm done. And I don't blame Sam at all. It was a good strategic move on her part.
Yeah, it made sense for her to send someone in her alliance home, because then it just puts the suspicion right off of her. And another jaw-dropping moment of your elimination was your little call-out of Jamie, which I feel like a lot of people were probably happy that you finally did that, because it seems like she was ruffling a lot of feathers in there. So did you feel relieved to finally be able to tell her off, or did that just kind of come out at the spur of the moment?
Yeah, you know, I had actually intended to say that to her after the dinner.
Nice.
After we sent Sydney home, I was going to go after Jamie and confront her. And so that was part of my stirring the pot plan. But it was also the way she treated Lauren when Lauren got voted out. I thought it crossed the line. And so I thought, okay, I'm out of the game now. Take the gloves off, you know, take off the game mask now. And I just felt like she had it coming. I meant what I said. And I, you know, like I said, she had it coming. So I just kind of gave it to her.
Like, I'm not leaving here without saying my piece. So.
Yeah, I was like, ooh, I love that moment.
That was not nice. I know. I probably shouldn't have said it. But you know what? That's what I felt. And I tend to say what I think. And so I just, and it, like I said, it kind of left it with suspicion on the both of them. Yeah. As you know, the people that weren't, because like I said, I'd had a conversation with her about her job and had asked her some details. And so, like I said, I felt it at the moment. I just said it. And maybe I'm not for everyone. Maybe it offended some people.
I thought it was great. I thought it was great because it's one thing to say something behind a screen where nobody else can hear you, but I feel like you took that moment to literally tell every single person what you genuinely felt about them as you were leaving. And I love that you were like, oh, and I'm not an escrow officer. I have actually been a professional poker player for 30 years. But you guys were right. I'm smart. I'm strategic. I'm all the things. And I was coming for all of your asses.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't say anything behind anybody's back. I didn't say their face. So, you know, at least I was, you know, a lot of people that were like, oh, I'm being honest and everything. No, it was a game of deception. But in real life, you know, I'm going to tell you what I think. In a game, maybe not. I'm going to do what benefits me in the game. But outside of the game, in real life, I'm going to tell you what I think.
Yeah. So do you think that Jamie is not a lifestyle coach? Is that your belief that she's
she is now. At the time, she had not been doing it for very long, and she wasn't making a living at the time as a lifestyle coach. So I don't know if she is now, but at the time that was not her primary. She wasn't making a living at it, and that was not her primary job.
Did she have a different profession?
What?
She had a different profession at the time?
Yeah, I'll leave that up to her to disclose. And I'm not going to allow anybody to disclose anybody's private information, but leave that up to her.
We like to try to get a little tea and receipts on this podcast, so we have to try. But
we're like, oh, so what she do? Yeah. So speaking of tea and receipts, was there anything like juicy that like the viewers didn't get to see that might like spark our interest? Like, I know I tried to we spoke to Say Young and Lauren, and I was like, I don't know, I feel like maybe there's like a love brewing with like, and I totally pulled it out of my behind, Corey and Sydney, just because I wanted some spark, and then it actually ended up being like a little love thing between Chris and Sydney. So any tea you can tell us?
No, like I said, Sydney is very charming. Obviously, she's beautiful, and she was, using her looks and her charm to her advantage. And but there wasn't a romance there.
Only on Chris's side.
Like I said, I think it would have been easy to fall under that spell, but Chris was probably the smartest person there, and he is a really smart guy. So he, he thought she was gorgeous and everything, but he also had the sense to say, okay, I know what's happening here. I'm going to keep thinking with my brain. And of course, I questioned him on that. Are you sure? Are you sure, Chris?
Yeah. Because from the viewer's perspective, it looked like it was working. From the viewer's perspective, it looked like it was working. That he was kind of thinking he maybe had a chance with Sydney. So you're saying
it might have been working for that much of the time, but I think maybe in that moment. But then he kind of pulled back, and he knew what was happening.
Yeah, he saw the light.
So he wasn't quite as smitten as it makes it look like he's some little smitten puppy. He was a little smarter than that, and Corey as well. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Corey's like, now that I'm watching the episodes, I'm like, okay, there's literally absolutely zero there. Sucks for me. But I thought with Chris, I was like, no, she's got him, because it seemed like he was protecting her a lot. Like, I feel like she bypassed at least 2 eliminations because of, like, Chris got the house to vote. Like, it seemed like he had a lot of influence in the house, in my opinion.
Yeah, they were in an alliance together. But I think Chris was in a stronger alliance with Corey and Kyle to an extent. And I think the 2 of them decided, are we better off keeping her? Or are we better off, they kind of, Corey and Chris, I think, kind of worked together to say, okay, who are we doing, with this, that, and the other. So just like I worked with Sam and Cara and Kyle, and we, strategized together.
Yes, I love the alliance of you, Sam, and Cara. I really wish we could have seen that go to the end and see you take out all the men and go all the way, but that doesn't always happen that way. People have to play for their own game. So I understand, like you said, we understand Sam's move. But speaking of Corey, I guess you might know, you might not know who wins, but do you have any predictions of who's going all the way? Because I think Corey at this point is our best bet for winning. Maybe Cara. Corey and Cara seem to be doing well. So what's your thoughts on who's going to go home next and who might actually take it?
Yeah, I think Corey and Cara are both strong players, kind of fly under the radar. And they're very intuitive. They are both picking up on, and of course Sam, she was great at it as well. They're really picking up on things, all the little nuances. Sam I had no idea she was a cop. No idea.
Yeah,
that
she did that
would
well.
have shocked me. She had me completely fooled on that. That was really good. I didn't think Cara was flipping hamburgers. I mean, I was like, look at that complexion. She is not standing over a fryer all day. I was
No way.
Yeah, and then Corey, he very charming, a little too suave, I thought, but I liked him. And I did like, in fact, he and I didn't start off working together, but towards the end, before I went home, we started communicating a lot more and talking a lot more together. And I kind of opened up to him a little bit more, and he opened up to me a little bit more. So maybe that wasn't a good idea on my part, but as I said, when I told everybody when I went home, and I told Corey, I was kind of like, I know you don't need the money, because I was kind of like, I noticed those custom made shirts, and I had kind of had a little conversation with him before that, but I was like, I hope you do really well, and I told Cara, I hope you win, and I told Sam, I hope you go really far, and I meant it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Sam played an amazing game. I think it's so interesting. We see how the men, like Phil, and then the women, like Lauren and Sam, how they completed their agendas. Like how the women's were so like sneaky and like not obvious, and then Phil's was like so obvious that he got caught. I have to ask, if you were the millionaire, if we did get a chance to see you be the millionaire and have to do these agendas, what would have been your strategy? How do you think you would have played that, like completing these agendas? Like, how would you have said Justin Timberlake's name 3 times randomly? Like, how would you have gotten people to say it?
I can't believe she did that. I would have probably had to say something like, who is that guy that was, a Mouseketeer or something that was married to that Britney girl? I would have probably thought of a way, or I might have said, because Chris is a golfer too, and Justin Timberlake's a golfer, I might have gone the Chris route and asked him about celebrity golfers and maybe gone down the golf conversation. It was funny. It never came up on the show about what I do in the golf world because nobody really cared. It didn't matter. But I'm a scorekeeper for the PGA. So you walk with the pros and their caddies, the whole 18 holes, and you keep the electronic score of, what club are they using, where their ball's lying, who's hitting next, all those kind of things. And
oh, that's cool.
So Chris is a golfer, and so we could have bonded on that, but it just, one of the reasons is in the beginning, we didn't know what the clues would be to the Secret Millionaire, so you didn't want to say too much about yourself.
Right.
Like you didn't want to say, oh, I play the piano, and then later they say the Secret Millionaire plays a musical instrument.
So that makes sense.
Or, I've been skydiving, or, I've been swimming with sharks, something, and then they say the Secret Millionaires swam in the ocean last year or something.
Right.
So you weren't really sure what you should say. So I didn't want to mention golf. I didn't want to mention a whole lot of things. I figured the clue wasn't going to be about grandchildren, so that was safe. But didn't know what. And when you think about the lying about the profession thing, I was lying. Sam was lying. Sydney was lying. A bunch of us.
Everybody, Jamie was lying. Everybody was lying.
Yeah, and Kyle said, he worked for a builder. Well, I knew he wasn't swinging a hammer, but thought, okay, he could be working for a builder, And the same with Corey. So, I was kind of thinking about half of us were lying about our profession.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you do the scorekeeping for the PGA, is that like the celebrity tournaments? Like, have you met Justin Timberlake?
I have not. In fact, I did score a Pro-Am where he was in the group right in front of me, but as an amateur. But on the PGA, no, I'm scoring for professional players.
Oh, okay.
And
they don't
PGA.
do...
Yeah, I'm scoring for the pros, so I don't care about the...
There's no celebrities
the amateurs.
There. I should know this because golf is on at my house 24/7, but I don't. I only half pay attention. But I have been to the U.S. Open once, which was really cool. I can get into golf a little bit, but one day I'll get more into it. But that seems like it would be really fun to be at like the actual PGA tournaments. That sounds really cool.
Yeah, and and you're with the pros and their caddies walking all 18 holes each day, which is a long way.
Yeah, that's a good workout.
It's it's not the distance so much. It's the being out there on the course for 5 hours and also making sure you get every single little thing right. There's no making a mistake.
Yeah. Well, it was obvious that you're good at paying attention to details from the show, so that makes sense for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, and we have to ask, like, I know you didn't win the $1 million, but if you had won the $1 million, what would you have done with the money?
I know as boring as it would sound, I would just use it for part of my retirement. Just, for a nice nest egg, probably take a nice trip somewhere, but I would have been very practical with it. I would have put it into my, IRA and, retirement money and been very practical. In fact, I thought about it before we went, and I told my husband, I said, okay, we need to save a third of it, invest a third of it, and we can spend a third of it. Of course, that's after taxes. And so I said, don't get excited. You have to think of it as a third of that, of that money. So
well, that's very smart and responsible for sure.
Yes, absolutely. I'm so sad that you're not on the show anymore. I'm just so curious. Like, how would Lydia have played the game? Because I feel like you would have been just like I feel like Lauren and Sam did so amazing, and I feel like you would have been right in line with them. Like no one would have figured out you were the millionaire. I feel like I'm like she's too slick, like she's too slick.
In the beginning, I did not want the money. And then after Phil, I was like, no, I think I still don't want the money. But looking back on it, I should have wanted the money. I think I could have done the task. Of course, hindsight, it's easy to be the armchair quarterback, but I think I could have done the challenges. I know I would not have screamed in front of everybody, but, I thought his idea of pretending like he's throwing somebody in the pool was very clever.
That's what I said to Ashley.
Yeah, but it's easy to look at somebody else and say, oh, I wouldn't have done it that way, But some of the things like when Phil went out, it was a tie vote and he had to break the tie. He didn't have a lot of time to think about that. I mean, it was like, it's a tie vote. The millionaire is going to decide the tie, come back, let's vote again. And he didn't have time to sit there and think, okay, if I vote her, then what's going to happen with what people are going to think and how the suspicion is going to turn, or if I vote her, he didn't have a lot of time to think that through. It was like, okay, the millionaire is going to break the tie. There you go.
Yeah, and just do it.
Yeah, there was no hitting pause and thinking about it for a while.
Yeah.
So, but I wish I'd have had the chance at $1 million.
Me too.
Yeah.
I would have just liked to see them just like have no idea what's going on, because sometimes I'm like, you guys are like really off, and then it's like one person is like, it's her. I know it. It's such a good show. It's so different. It's so good. Really enjoying it. So.
Yeah, I would have liked to. I would have liked to keep being sneaky about it and maybe throw a suspicion on some other people and that kind of thing. That would have been fun. But
it seemed like you had it was like, okay, you had your alliance and they had their alliance, and now it's like alliance against alliance, and then it's like once our alliance is like the final 4 or 5, then we break up. But until then, I feel like you guys had a really solid strategy. So I'm like, no, take it.
Well,
but I hope Jamie goes home next. No, I'm just
it's kind of like, in golf, the way the ball bounces, it could go left or right, or at the poker table, you can play a perfect game and just get bad cards, and somebody with a weaker hand can beat you by, luck of the draw. So, that's the way it happens.
So are you going to tune in to the final 2 episodes on Wednesday?
Oh, yes. I can't wait.
Yeah,
it comes on at midnight California time, which is 2 a.m. Texas time. So instead of waiting up all night like some of the other cast members have stayed up and stuff, I'll probably just go to bed early the night before and then get up at 4:30 or 5 in the morning and watch it. So
that makes sense.
Yes,
Who do you
I
think's
can't
going
wait to see
home
it.
next? Who do you think's going home next?
Who do I think's going home next?
Yeah.
Sydney, Jamie.
Yeah,
Sam?
Sydney or Jamie. I mean,
yeah.
I felt like I was kind of, paving that path for one of them to. I was really surprised Chris went home, and Jamie would have been after I left. Jamie was supposed to be the next one to go, but when Corey went into the trophy room and confirmed that Jamie was not the secret millionaire, that went out the window.
That threw a wrench and everything.
Yeah. So I was really surprised that Chris went home.
Yeah.
That was a surprise to me, but I think Jamie or Sydney will go home next. Maybe Sydney because she's a strong player, and Jamie just because she's suspicious now.
Yes.
Yeah. Because I don't think Jamie's a very strong player, actually, in my opinion. I'm like, you guys could just keep her. She's kind of just there, So I'm like, she's not really like
dramatic.
Yeah. She's a little,
Well, it's funny because Sam is a quietly strong player, quietly very strong, as is Cara. And Sydney is a louder, strong player, a more obvious, strong player. Whereas Cara and Sam are playing it a little bit tighter, a little bit quieter, a little bit more deceptive. So the target's not on them so much.
Right. Do you feel like that's why Chris got sent home, because he was also a strong player, but he was like kind of loud about it? He was.
Yeah. And Chris was, like I said, smart, very smart. And he was throwing out a lot of strategies, a lot of ideas. I agreed with his way of thinking a lot, but I just was like, don't take the lead. Let him do it.
Yes.
Right.
So
Yes.
yeah, Chris was very strategic.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
Well, we enjoyed watching you very much on these episodes, and we really appreciate you taking the time to talk to us today. I know our listeners are going to love this interview. So do you want to tell people where they can find you on your Instagram or wherever else you are these days?
Yeah, my social medias are Lydiatexasgrandma. So on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook,
Love it.
YouTube, I'm getting the hang of all the social media stuff. Imagine teaching your grandma all the social media stuff.
Okay. I've
Well, I
seen
hope
you.
we get to see some poker stuff because I am so interested to know more about your poker and like how you play and all of that. Like I would love to see that on your social, so I'm gonna go follow you.
Yes.
I played this last weekend in a all women's poker tournament down in Houston.
Oh,
So,
nice.
yep, that was a lot of fun. So,
Well, we'll
and I'll be
be-
playing in them coming up. Every
Okay.
week I play poker.
Nice, nice.
Well, we'll
Do you like
definitely check it
win
out.
in poker tournaments? Is there like a winner, or is that not how it works?
Yeah, usually
you were-
there's a final table, and your goal is to always finish in the money.
Okay.
But win first place, yeah, I've won several poker tournaments. I've won them locally. I've won them in Oklahoma. I've won them in Vegas at some of the casinos, and then finishing in the money is always fun too. So,
Okay.
but
I
in
love it.
poker,
Awesome.
the win rate, even if you win 3 or 4% of the time, that's considered wildly successful to win
Yeah.
first place that often. But that's also a lot of losing.
Yeah.
So that's why I think it was easy for me when I got out. It was like, oh, well,
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Just makes the winning more exciting when you lose, right?
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. Like, thank you for joining us. It's always surreal to like be watching the show, and then it's like, and then now you're right here, and I get to all the stuff I was screaming at the TV. I actually get to say to her. So,
Yeah.
thank you so much for being here.
you
with
guys are a lot of fun. I really enjoy watching you.
Oh, awesome.
us. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Lydia.
Thanks.
Thanks
Have a
for
good
being
evening.
here.
You too. Bye, guys.